For years, an epic war raged between humanoids blessed by the god of light and demons empowered by the god of darkness. After endless bloodshed, a band of heroes finally storms the Demon Lord's castle to end it once and for all. But just before the throne room, the team is ambushed by a nasty demon. Theron tells Kyle and Urza to press on while he plays solo tank. They nod, knowing full well Theron isn't walking out of this one. Once inside the throne room, disaster strikes. Shadowy spheres of dark matter rain down from above. Kyle tries to block them, but it's too much. At the last second, Urza dives in to protect him and is completely disintegrated. R.I.P. Magic MVP. With dramatic timing, the Demon Lord appears, ready to finish things. Enraged, Kyle charges in like an angry bull, only to dodge another barrage of dark blasts by hiding behind a pillar. He quickly realizes this isn't just any attack, it's elimination, an unblockable spell that erases anything it touches. Yeah, not ideal. Kyle knows he won't land a hit unless he risks everything. So, he unleashes the full power of the magic gem in his sword. The result? One epic stab straight through the Demon Lord, who goes kaboom. Victory. Except Kyle's sword is wrecked, and he's fatally injured. He saved the world but lost everything. His friends, his family, his home. He collapses, ready to embrace the sweet release of death, until the Demon Lord's magic gem suddenly goes haywire. With no one controlling it, it could blow up the entire planet. So, barely alive, Kyle crawls to the gem and grabs it. Flash! He wakes up in his childhood bed. Totally confused, Kyle checks the window. His hometown, burned to ash in the past, is standing tall and peaceful. He's stunned. Then his childhood friend Layla walks in, worried. Kyle freezes, speechless. Is this real? A dream? Hallucination? Doesn't matter, he's just happy to see her. So he hugs her tight. Layla, flustered, asks what he's doing, but Kyle is too caught in the moment. She tries to escape, but he holds on, and they both tumble onto the bed in a very non-platonic position. The tension skyrockets. Problem is, they're not at that stage of the relationship yet. Layla's face shifts from red to furious. She punches Kyle so hard he does a triple flip midair. Now groaning in pain, Kyle gets scolded hard. She storms out, yelling something about warnings and emotional prep time. Lying there in agony, Kyle realizes something wild. That punch hurt. If this were just a dream, he wouldn't feel anything, right? He pulls back the covers, and there it is. The Demon Lord's magic gem glowing ominously. So yeah, whatever's going on, this dream just got a whole lot more complicated. Now certain this is reality, Kyle walks to the mirror to get a good look at himself and is shocked. He looks much younger than he did during the war. Even stranger, he clearly remembers suffering several fatal injuries during the battle with the Demon Lord. Yet now his body is perfectly healthy. His hometown is intact, and Layla is alive. With all this in mind, Kyle concludes that he must have somehow returned to the past, and the only clue he has is the Demon Lord's magic gem. Sure, the Demon Lord was absurdly powerful, but creating a spell that sends someone back in time, that's way beyond any magic Kyle knows. Suddenly, his stomach growls loudly. So off he goes to the kitchen. When Kyle walks in, he's stunned to see a full meal laid out for him. It doesn't take a genius to guess that Layla made it before she left. She used to do this all the time, especially since Kyle and his mom were too busy or too magically incompetent to cook anything edible. He pulls out a bowl, tastes the food, and is in heaven. It's been years since he had a proper meal. On the battlefield, survival meant choking down bland ration cubes in the middle of nowhere. A few minutes later, Theron strolls in, clearly looking for food. But once he sees all the empty plates stacked in front of Kyle, his face drops. The stew is gone. Every last drop. While Theron begins a passionate monologue about culinary betrayal, Kyle sits back, still trying to comprehend everything. Just hours ago, the two of them were fighting side by side against the Demon Lord. Theron had even stayed behind to buy him time. Now he's here, hungry and grumpy. Theron notices Kyle staring and asks if something's wrong. Kyle shakes it off and casually asks what year it is. Weird question, but Theron answers. It's the 24th of May, 2823. Also, Kyle's birthday. Theron says he'll forgive the feast theft just this once, but he's still starving. So he's heading to Leela's place to beg for food. He might even throw in a dramatic kneel if necessary. Pride doesn't matter when you're hungry. While Theron goes off to beg, Kyle stays in the kitchen thinking deeply. If he really has returned to the past, he needs to confirm some things, and there's only one person who can help. His mom. He He heads out to the shed and into the underground library, where she's likely buried in books. Sure enough, he finds her down there, nose deep in a tome. She's surprised to see him, since he never comes down at night, but he points out it's already morning, meaning she pulled another all-nighter. She apologizes, but Kyle isn't here to nag about sleep schedules. He tells her he has a question about magic theory. As one of the few archmages in the country, she's the perfect person to ask. She perks up and tells him to go ahead. Kyle asks if there are any known spells that can send someone back in time. Surprisingly, she says yes, though very little is known about them. Time magic is considered theoretical at best, and no mage is capable of actually casting it. The power required is simply too much. Even the greatest magician in history wouldn't be able to travel back more than a second. Kyle then asks if a magic item could make it possible. His mother thinks for a moment. Technically, if you had an item that could store enough energy over centuries, maybe. But it would take over 1,000 years to accumulate that much magic. Kyle presses further. What if someone used the forbidden right? Now his mom is alarmed. She demands to know where he heard about such a spell. Kyle lies and says he read about it in a book, and swears he'd never try it. She calms down and explains that the forbidden right allows someone to sacrifice life force in exchange for magic. It's dangerous and wildly unethical. Even if someone were mad enough to attempt it, the power still wouldn't be enough. You'd need to sacrifice half the humanoid population on the continent just to get close. And even then, you'd need an artifact capable of storing that much power, which doesn't exist. Or at least it shouldn't. But suddenly, she remembers something. She flips through one of her ancient texts and stops at a page detailing the divine dragon's heart, a legendary gem said to have powered the ancient kingdom of Sorrows for thousands of years. When the gem's energy ran out, the kingdom fell. She tells Kyle that if such an artifact still existed, it could make time travel possible. It's believed the gem was lost over a millennium ago, but if it resurfaced in demon hands, everything makes sense. Kyle realizes the gem he took from the demon lord must be the divine dragon's heart, and the spell must have been set to activate upon the demon lord's defeat. But what still puzzles him is, why would the demon lord go back in time? Before he can think more, Layla walks in. Kyle immediately apologizes for the intense, awkward hug that morning. He explains he had a horrible nightmare and that she died in it. That sobers Layla up. She understands now and forgives him. She smiles at him. That smile almost breaks him. In the future, their village was the first to fall during the invasion. Layla died in the chaos, and Kyle swore to avenge her. But now here she is, alive, safe, smiling. Layla notices he's gone quiet again and asks if something's wrong. But Kyle is lost in thought. 3 years from now, everything burns. Everyone he loves will be gone, unless he changes that future. He clenches his fists. No matter what it takes, he'll change fate. He's not going to lose her or anyone again. Kyle knows he only has 3 years before the Great Cataclysm, so the very next day, he gets to work. He starts training by summoning a mental image of the Demon Lord and charging in. But after a few swings and a couple of blocks, reality hits. His body is weak. Like, embarrassingly weak. It makes sense. By this point in time, Kyle had been living the lazy life of a certified couch potato. His combat skills are trash. The one thing going for him, his magic stats seem to have carried over from the future. So, he tries buffing himself with speed and strength enhancements, and still eats dirt. His body simply can't keep up with his magic. Conclusion? He needs to train hard. Meanwhile, Layla and Theron are spying on him from the bushes. From their point of view, Kyle has been running around yelling at nothing and falling over all morning. Concern levels rising. Then Ela, his mom, shows up and asks what they're doing. They explain that Kyle's suddenly working out like a madman, which is weird considering just days ago, he couldn't care less about training. Layla thinks maybe he's doing it for a girl. This crushes Leela's hopes. If he hasn't confessed to her, then it must be someone else. Fueled by jealousy, she storms in and shakes Kyle so hard he throws up. Realizing she may have gone a bit overboard, she makes it up to him by cooking his favorite lunch. Though still a bit queasy, Kyle forgives her. Since everyone's gathered, he brings up a question that's been on his mind. How do you force entire nations to take action? Everyone's confused, kind of a weird topic for lunchtime. After thinking it over, Ela lists a few ways. Get the kings on his side, become a powerful priest, or rise to fame as a legendary hero. And if all else fails, grow a mustache and commit war crimes to get noticed. Kyle thanks her for the colorful options, but he needs to unite the nations in less than 2 years, and the only realistic path is to become a hero. So, he heads straight to his room and starts speed reading every book he can find. Knowing what's coming gives him an advantage. He knows which myths are real and which are garbage. Theron walks in and is shocked to see Kyle voluntarily studying. He flops on the bed and asks, "Are you seriously trying to become a hero? You know that's not a job you can just apply for, right?" Kyle nods. He knows. Normally, you become a hero by slaying a demon king or saving the world. But since he already did that once and is technically prequel era now, he needs to prepare ahead of time. Step 1. Strength. Step 2. Cash. Theron gives him a look. Money? That's not very heroic. But Kyle is dead serious. Heroes don't accept payment for good deeds, but gear and travel aren't free. So yeah, he's gonna need a stash of gold. On top of that, he plans to gain favor with important people to build his reputation. Basically, the hero version of networking. To Theron, this is starting to sound less like hero and more like politician. Kyle isn't done. He also says he needs one more thing: luck. Because heroes always show up at the perfect time, and sometimes that requires a little behind-the-scenes manipulation. Theron raises an eyebrow. "You're not planning to create disasters just to save people, are you?" Kyle quickly denies it, but admits he's not above using some underhanded tricks to meet his goals. "Yeah, I'm pretty sure heroes aren't supposed to say that," Theron mutters. But then, more seriously, he asks the big question. "Why do you want to become a hero anyway?" Theron can tell that being a hero isn't Kyle's final goal, it's just a stepping stone. Curious, he asks what Kyle's real objective is. Kyle admits he does have a reason, but it's not something he can share just yet. So for now, Theron just has to trust him. The next morning, Kyle informs Hila that he'll soon be heading off on an adventure. She supports the idea. Exploring the world is important after all. She asks if he told his mom, and he says yes, earlier that morning. However, he hasn't told Layla yet. Since he'll be gone for a while, Hila suggests he take Theron along. Kyle had planned to ask him anyway, so he thanks her, but it's the first Theron's hearing of any of this. Later, Kyle finds Layla and tells her he'll be leaving in 2 days. She's clearly upset, but she doesn't want to stop him from chasing his goal. When she asks where he's headed, Kyle replies that his first stop is the royal capital. Mad. Once he gets what he needs there, the real work begins. Layla says she has a favor to ask, but Kyle already knows what it is. She wants to come with him. He quickly shuts her down, saying he wants her to stay somewhere safe. She's about to argue, insisting that she's been training with the Oracle Warriors and won't be a burden. But Kyle silences her with a kiss and promises she'll be the first person he visits when he returns. Flustered beyond words, Layla gives in, asking only that he not do anything reckless. He agrees. The next day, Kyle goes shopping for supplies and invites Layla to join him. While walking through town, Layla spots something unusual: an elf standing by one of the market stalls. Elves aren't common in this region, so she's curious. But Kyle? He's shocked. That's not just any elf, it's Urza, someone who loved him deeply in the future, and even told him her true name, Exis, a sacred secret among elves. So stunned by her presence, Kyle accidentally blurts out Exis, which immediately puts Urza on high alert. In this timeline, she has no idea who Kyle is, and no random human should know her true name. She reaches for her sword, ready to attack. Desperate to avoid a public elf slaying, Kyle grabs her arm and tries to calm her down, but she's not having it. With no choice left, he whispers her true name again, putting her to sleep through an ancient elven technique. Urza collapses into his arms. Crisis averted, not quite. Layla saw the whole thing. And from her point of view, Kyle just casually knocked out a random elf girl in the middle of the market, and is now possibly kidnapping her. Explaining this one is gonna be rough. Back at his house, Kyle tries to convince Urza she imagined him saying her name. Unsurprisingly, she's not buying it. Only her parents know that name, so she demands to know how Kyle learned it. But there's no easy way to say, "We dated in the future and you told me during a tearful romantic moment." She threatens to kill him just to be safe, but Kyle pleads for time and promises to explain eventually. Urza, understandably, finds it hard to trust someone who casually drops her sacred name in public. So, Kyle makes an offer. He'll form a binding contract with her. This kind of contract is typically between humans and spirits, but in rare cases it can bind two people. The terms? Kyle must never reveal or misuse Urza's true name. If he does, instant, painful death. Urza is taken aback by how seriously Kyle takes it. She agrees, but says she can't form a contract until the next full moon, which is 3 weeks away. So, until then, she's sticking to Kyle like glue. Problem is, Kyle is leaving tomorrow. So now, Urza is forced to tag along to keep an eye on him. The next day, with bags packed, the team is ready to set off. Kyle says goodbye to his mom, and just as things are settling, Lee shows up. Turns out she's coming too, not because she trusts Kyle, but because she doesn't trust him to travel alone with Urza after that very dramatic elf encounter. The group finally sets off on their journey, and Theron almost immediately starts flirting with Urza, clearly taken aback by how pretty she is. But Urza shuts it down fast. She's not part of the party. She's just tagging along because she needs to stay near Kyle until they form a contract. Not that anyone is listening to her. Since Urza is with them now, Kyle says there's no need to go to the royal capital right away. Instead, they're heading for the Scarred Mountains to find the Magic Queen's labyrinth. Theron isn't thrilled. He thinks it's a wild goose chase. The labyrinth is legendary and supposedly so huge no one's ever made it through to the treasure. But Kyle reassures them. He's got a detailed map, drawn from memory, based on his future journey through the labyrinth. The others aren't convinced. From their perspective, Kyle probably bought a fake map from some shady vendor. Feeling a little bad, Urza jumps in and claims the paper is made from 1,000-year-old magic tree bark. Totally rare, totally legit. Of course, Kyle knows that's complete nonsense. He pulled it out of some dusty library book, but everyone believes Urza, not him. Still, even with a map, getting through the labyrinth would take forever. So Kyle proposes a new strategy: dig a tunnel. Yes, dig a tunnel. They start right away. This way, they can avoid all the deadly sawblade traps scattered inside. With Urza summoning an earth spirit to reinforce the tunnel, things go pretty smoothly. She even seems unusually motivated, barking at Kyle and Theron to work harder. After a long day of digging, they return to camp, where Layla has whipped up a feast. Everyone loves it. When Urza compliments her, she casually asks if Layla caught the bear they're eating. Turns out, yeah, she did, with her bare fists. Completely normal for her. After dinner, Urza uses spirit magic to create a hot spring in the mountain. She and Layla go for a relaxing soak, while Kyle has to physically restrain Theron from trying to peek over the wall. The next day, work resumes. While the others take a break, Urza pulls Kyle aside and demands answers. Why does he want to be a hero so badly? She knows the others haven't asked out of trust, but she doesn't trust him, especially after he used her true name. She's watched Kyle work nonstop, wearing weight-enhancing rings that make his body 9 times heavier than normal, yet he never complains. Clearly, there's more to this than wanting fame or glory. Just as Kyle is about to answer, his shovel hits something, a vault wall. He cuts her off and tells her to get the others. Once everyone gathers, Kyle kicks the wall down, revealing an enormous mountain of gold and treasure. Theron practically dives into the pile, convinced he'll never have to work again. Meanwhile, Kyle quietly slips away. There's a different treasure he's after, hidden deeper in the labyrinth. He finds his way to a secret chamber where an ancient, legendary sword awaits. One that accompanied him through countless battles in the future. As he steps closer, the sword's avatar materializes before him.